Shamoir is an ideal boot if you're looking for trekking on uneven, wet terrain, maybe steep and muddy. It'll really come into its own as a boot that's a little bit higher, so it's a bit more protective. It's got ultimate 6mm grippy outsole for those purposes as well, and a high level of waterproofing. So it's a pretty waterproof boot too. We've developed this over a period of 2 or 3 years really, and what we really wanted to do was come up with the ultimate iconic traditional mountain boot, which is completely barefoot friendly, if you like. So it's going to allow you plenty of space in the front. It's going to be zero drop. It's going to be pretty flexible, although giving you protection. We don't really talk about support, giving you some protection, and also reasonably thin to the ground so that you can feel the terrain as you move upon, which actually, the more tough and uneven and rugged the terrain, the more that you do need to be able to feel your way. So what we're really saying is kind of gone are the days of those traditional brands that are going to give you a mountain boot that is absolutely solid. You can hardly move it anyway. It's going to lock your ankle in like this, and it's going to be thick under here and pretty much inflexible all round. We want you to be able to move more naturally, but in the harshest of terrain. So how do we deliver that? Firstly, we've made this, maybe 3 or 4 centimeters or so taller than, say, our muddy leather or our Impala or muddy 2 boots. So a little bit taller. That's not for support, that's really just for protection in wet, harsh terrain, lots of rocks and stones around, just to protect the ankle a little bit more. It's still very thin here. You've got the minimal of foam so that it's going to dry quicker, so that it's not going to feel bulky and kind of inflexible around that area. We then used pretty much a single piece of leather around here, no cut in the leather to make it a lower cost. That then is more durable, and it's also more waterproof because it doesn't have low down seams. You've then got the use of this premium full grain leather, the best there is out there. We visited numerous tanneries and just really looking at a leather that will give us a slight nubuck finish, which can be either maintained using a nubuck conditioner spray, such as that by Nickwax, or dead simple, put a wax cream on it, such as a Nickwax, and you'll move it back to a smooth leather, which is then polishable if you want it to look a bit smarter. So then is our use of metalwork here. So we've got this double eyelet here, which allows you to grip the tension up to this point, and then using a sort of a slipper knot, you can then secure the boot and leave the top part a little bit more flexible. That might be as you're just getting used to the boot early on, or generally because you don't want the high tension up at the upper reaches of the boot. So we've then got a lining in here, which is our latest generation of full waterproof bootie. So that's full bootie. So it's like a boot within the boot that we've got in here that's sealed up to here. This is a 3-part laminate, so you've got a very tough, breathable inner next to the sock, a small, a thin foam just to allow the moisture to move into it and dissipate over a larger surface, and then the membrane between the foam and the upper here, the leather, for protection. Very breathable, and very high level of waterproofing. So you've got something where the waterproofed leather will do most of the work. We always think of it as belt and braces. So that's going to do most of the work for the waterproofing, and then your membrane is going to back this up. And that means if you're out 6-8 hour long day or a multi-day trek, you've got something that's pretty much going to keep you dry as long as you maintain the weather. And that's probably a weekly treatment to keep that working effectively. So we love our new membrane. It's up another league in terms of that breathability and that waterproofing. The last year or so of testing and fine-tuning of this boot took us regularly onto one of our favourite routes, which is up in Teesdale, Hagworm Hill, and it's pretty much off track, seriously rough, steep, muddy terrain, up to nigh on 2,000 feet in the harshest winter of Teesdale. And then you work your way down and you hit the River Tees and you go along it, and we sometimes stay at a lovely place, Langdon Beck there. Sometimes we bivvy on the top of Hagworm Hill as well. But that terrain offers us the best chance of just seeing what this is like on a 7 or 8 hour day in the harshest conditions. And the things that we learned earlier on was that you need to put a decent midsole in here on that really steep rocky sections. You need to have a little bit more protection to the foot, hence we're using our Firm Flex midsole. You certainly need mountain grip, so you've got our grippiest outsole with a 6mm lugs, a little bit more placement between the lugs to allow mud and water to dissipate more easily. That's something we learnt in on the higher reaches of Hagworm Hill as well. And you need that grip, and you need just that little bit of protection under the foot. But you still need to be able to feel your way. So you've got that flexibility. You've got some heel kind of protection here, but not too stiff. And that's 4 or 5 iterations of working through to get that just right. So we put in our Flexile Nano insock or insole, and this is a thinner version of our regular Flexile, just to allow you to have a little bit more contact, really, because you've got thicker lugs. So the stack height of this is deeper than some of our other styles. So you've just got kind of our thinnest, most breathable insole in there. You can easily layer that up with Ortholite or Rebound. Ortholite, remember, is 6mm pure shock absorbing material. Rebound is an energy return material. So either of those would work a treat in this boot, just to kind of upgrade it for comfort, performance, or shock absorbing as well. But the situations that we wouldn't reach for this boot would be if we wanted something a little bit lower, something that was going to go out in maybe less harsh conditions. Maybe we're doing a long multi-day where we want to, in very wet conditions, when we want it to dry quicker. Perhaps you might be thinking about our Esk 2 if you wanted something much simpler trails, which is going to be less waterproof but quicker drying. You might be thinking of the new Muddy Leather 2, Muddy L2, if you're wanting a more of an all-rounder. This outsole, if you just use it on tarmac or very hard trails, is going to wear quicker than our Hill Grip outsole, which is more of an all-rounder. So if you're looking for a more all-round trail, easier trail shoe, a little bit lower, so less stuff around your ankle, then any of our boots in that family of Muddy, whether it's a leather version or the microfiber or the booty as well, they would work better. If you want a warmer boot, then, but similar height, then you might look at the Arkan 2 as well. Really though, if you want the best of the best that's giving you that amazing barefoot performance, but in a traditional looking mountain boot, then you want to be looking at Chamois, giving you that waterproofing and barefoot feel, but mountain performance.